Hello, everybody. Namaste. Today I'm going to be making a new series of videos potentially, but I don't know how many of these I'm going to make. But it's going to be called Lost in Thought, where I take a look at various unanswered questions and theories from the television show Lost. Now, if you're not a fan of the show Lost, if you're not a fan of the show or you're in the middle of watching it, and you want to finish, that's fine. You don't have to watch this video. And this video here, I will be talking about a character who doesn't even appear till the third to last episode of the show. And the entire story that I'm going to be explaining here is pretty much a summary of important details of the show. And if you haven't caught up with the show in its entirety, or at least till the third last episode, which is pretty much the same as the entirety, then I would suggest not watching this video, wait until you do that. Because there's going to be a lot of spoilers. Now, this is going to be... You done? You sure you're ready to watch? You watched all that? Okay. This is going to be about the character of the mother. The mother of... Well, not the actual mother of Jacob and the Man in Black. But she is known as the mother, the character. A woman who lived on the island for many years and is a very mysterious figure who was a godlike figure who I'm going to be referring to the whole god setup they have going on here as island god status, island god status, because there's not an official name for it other than Jacob. And she predates Jacob, so she gives the power to Jacob. So that's the thingy. I'm just going to call it that because I'm going to go ahead and throw out the theory right away. Who is the mother? What was she? What exactly was her deal? My answer is simple. I believe the mother was the island god combined with the smoke monster, the island god who had been corrupted by the smoke monster, so to speak. Now this is a theory, but it's a theory that is supported by the show to some extent. But it is still just a theory. And I'll explain why. Now let me explain, we'll go back a little ways. We gotta unravel this thing to explain exactly how the mother came to be in the first place. My theory is that what she told Claudia, the actual mother of Jacob and the Man in Black, before she murdered her was true. She had an accident, she landed on the island. Now, guessing by the time this took place, which was in the ancient Roman times, I believe, it's like over 2,000 years ago, I'm willing to guess here. I'm just going to jump at the idea that maybe the mother, similar to Richard Alpert, had lived her life previously in some kind of servitude as a slave. The reason I say that is because I think it would give her a warped sense of humanity, of seeing how awful humanity could be. It's going to be important later. But I believe, more than that, she crashed on the island, similar to Richard, possibly as a slave, or possibly she had gotten her freedom and crashed on the island, and was rescued by the island god, whoever it was at the time. And the island god basically took care of her for a time before eventually doing basically what she did to Jacob, telling her she needed to pass the power, or he, she, they, whoever, needed to pass the power to her. And then, I'm presuming, died. And she became the island god. And I believe when she was instructed by the original island god, I believe Mother was told the basic gist was protect the island at all costs. One day you need to pass your power on to another person. I believe that was specified. In my theory, of course. And the last, probably most important part, don't ever go to the heart of the island. Don't ever enter that cave with the light. The heart of the island, the essence, if you will. It has many names. It doesn't have an official name. I believe it's just heart of the island. But anyway, I believe what happened is that the mother outlived everybody who was on that boat, if they had anyone who had survived. Then eventually she got bored, curious, and she went to that cave. Maybe even accidentally. Maybe she just found it, and she fell, much similar to how Desmond, but instead of him actually being lower down, she just jumped in or fell in, and she came out smoke monster. She was corrupted. She was a smoke monster now. And I think sometime would have passed, she would have been the smoke monster running around, but she would have eventually took her corporeal form back, her main form, and she still would have had her god powers, her island god, but she would have been smoke monster and island god. Now, I believe this would have made her very split down the middle, like Two-Face. Like Harvey Dent, if you will, where she's kind of half good, half evil. Where before she had more of a moral compass, but she did have a sort of disdain for humanity. But now that evil side of the darkness was kind of overtaking her. I believe when Claudia crashed on the island, when she killed her and she said, "I'm sorry," that was the smoke monster taking over, so to speak. And I believe at this point, here's what I believe. I think she brought that ship to the island because she was lonely. She'd lived a long time and she probably was getting miserable and the hatred was taking over. And when she realized Claudia had a child, she probably saw an opportunity to, in a sense, raise the next ruler of the island like her, to pass on the gift. Because I believe she wanted to die. I think that's pretty clear in the show. Her last words are literally, "Thank you," right before she dies. And I believe the fact is, the reason there is clearly throughout the show, she treats Jacob a little better than she does the Man in Black. She doesn't even give the Man in Black a name after all. But she also, I think she, in her mind, kind of had the hopes that the Man in Black would be the chosen island god, so to speak. But then what happened was, I do believe she maybe figured it out long ago that he was going to live with the humans that had crashed on the island. Which I'm either assuming she brought those humans to test Jacob and the Men in Black, or those humans were already crashed. I'm just going to say she brought them, because I think it makes sense for her. She's testing them to see who stays, who will be the true guardian of the island, the true island god. But I believe that once Man in Black joined the other humans on the island, started living with him, I believe this was her way of testing him, seeing how he would react, and also testing Jacob. It also probably stopped her from just killing all these people, because she clearly doesn't care much for humans. And if she is so corrupted by the smoke monster, I believe she had no problem just killing them outright. But I think she wanted to see how the Man in Black would react, so to speak. So anyway, then we get to the point where this is why I specifically think this. How it's pretty. I mean, there seems to be a pretty obvious theory that she is a smoke monster, because we see people killed. We don't see how they were killed. They were killed by the mother, and Men in Black finds them, and the scene is similar to smoke monster attacks shown elsewhere in the show. But the thing with that is, if she had the power of Jacob, there's no reason to think she couldn't just easily kill them the same way, like kill them pretty easily, just because she's a woman. An older woman that's been living on this island, she has god powers. There's really nothing that can stop her from ripping them into, Mortal Kombat fatalities up in this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but anyway, because we've seen Jacob easily beat Richard, So it doesn't matter what her strength would be, proportional wise. Like, she could have that Wonder Woman style strength, and she could be overpowered, like crazy levels. Like Kefla style, Doesn't have to have the smoke monster. But I do believe she is the smoke monster, corrupted by it, and she became the smoke monster there. And I believe, here's what I think happened. Because in the sequence of events, we see her not hit Man in Black against the rock, against the stone, when he shows her the well that they were making to pump the energy to leave the island. Which actually worked, ironically enough, so she was onto something. Trying to stop this. And after that, we see her take Jacob and give him the power. And then we see the Man in Black finding his friends dead, and then he goes and kills her. Now, I don't believe she gave the power to Jacob and then went and killed him. I believe she did that on the way, and I believe she made one more stop on the way. I believe she went back to the cave, and she opened the cork, much like Desmond did, and she put the smoke monster power in there. She found a way to send it out of herself. That's what I believe. I believe like she figured out a way. The loophole would be something that, like, in other words, she would have to have somebody take her place. I believe she had the idea in the beginning that she knew one of her sons was going to be the new smoke monster. And I think in her mind, and this is a plan that is both, this is very evil and manipulative, but at the same time, also kind of less bad. I think she was so hurt, she was so ruined by having the good and evil inside of her the whole time, that she figured she would be better off splitting it in two, giving the smoke monster power to one person, have them be all evil, basically, all incarnate, all darkness, and having somebody have the good, the island god. That's what I think, anyway. And I think once she saw Man in Black, she knew her plan would work. She planned this from the beginning. And this does make her seem incredibly manipulative and forthcoming and kind of tempting, very much tempting both her kids. Anyway, that's why I believe this, because in the next scene, whenever the Man in Black kills her, and she says thank you, I think that's why, because now she was already human. I believe if she had the smoke monster power and the man and the island god, she had to get rid of both. Now you might say, well, how come? Let's talk about some of the flaws in this theory, and I'll try to cover them that I'm thinking of right now, because I'm overthinking this. So let me see. And I'm just a nerdy guy that loves Lost, fairly. It's one of my favorite shows. It's fun to watch. It's trippy and it's out there, and it's a show that's really captivated me in ways very few shows have since. Like Dark was another one, Twin Peaks are ones that captivated me quite well. I really loved. But anyway, little aside. Guess the question you might ask is like, why wouldn't the smoke monster, why wouldn't the Man in Black all these years on the island try to just lift the cork and put his, put the smoke monster back in, put the smoke back in the cork, so to speak, like a genie in a bottle? Well, I think one reason is that he couldn't find the cave again, because he kind of, in the end, he had to basically find it after Jack basically led the way. Jack led the way, and Jack was already the Jacob, basically, and he had Desmond and all that. He needed basically someone to help find it. But besides that, more to the point, he was never a island god and a smoke monster combined, like Mother was. That is why I believe it. And that was, by the way, that's kind of a plot hole, because how could Jacob have been able to find the light? I'm pretty sure he could have, because he found it right after this. But then again, his mother also showed it to him, so maybe you need somebody to show it to you first. I don't. I'm just theorizing here. But I think, yeah, it makes more sense to the fact that he couldn't do that because of the fact that he was not island god and smoke monster. Whatever you want to call it. You could probably call that something else. The evil or something. I don't know. But, and the thing about this, there's some, in my opinion, there's some pretty interesting kind of clues to what this is, besides just the fact that she clearly destroyed his people and could have smoked up to do it. First of all is the fact that in season 6, we hear Flock, Man in Black, whatever, fake Locke, telling Kate that he had a crazy mother, and that Claire was now, or Aaron now had a crazy mother, meaning Claire. And if you think about that, why would he calls his mother crazy? And the thing about that is, the thing with Claire, she pretty much started losing her mind partially because of the loss of Aaron, but also when she started basically hanging around Flock. He corrupted it, and throughout the show, it's pretty clear that those who are touched in some way, by the smoke monster or around it, they are corrupted. They are turned more evil, more dark, more disturbed. There's a whole setup for that. So the fact that he calls Claire crazy and his mother crazy, makes you think that he's himself mentioning the fact that he, also him being crazy, but the affliction they're receiving from the smoke monster, basically. Which also fits with the idea that if Jacob touches you, he heals you. Well, if the smoke monster touches you, he curses you. It kind of goes, hand in hand. Yin and yang, the whole black and white dichotomy, the backgammon, I think the game's called, yeah. That whole thing. The whole setup. It works well with each other. The shadow and the light, all that. It fits well. And you might be asking, well, how come, I guess the other question would be, how did she get the cave? I guess would be she fell in the cave to get the smoke monster first. I think I'm just talking in circles. Sorry about that. But anyway, I think that's about it on my theory. I think that's what I believe. I believe the smoke monster. The mother was the smoke monster, and the island god in one, basically. Basically, she was literally the yin and yang, shadow and light. I believe she concocted this plan all along. And another clue why I think this could be very accurate is because think of this plan she would have concocted, which she really would have just concocted whenever she killed Claudia, basically. But the fact that she waited like 43 years or something to concoct this plan and see it to fruition. Think about the fact that the Man in Black not only had several plans he planned out throughout centuries, but also the fact that for just the one plan with Locke that actually worked, he basically took like 60 years with the time travel and everything. Because it's a very complex plan. So if he's willing to take that time and Patience, consider how important it is to him. I could see her doing the same thing, and it would, because they're related and because both would be corrupted, I could see him doing that. And, in my opinion, this makes both characters, well, all three characters, kind of tragic because basically the mother had no say. She might have had a say in choosing to pursue the island god powers, but she accidentally had the smoke monster cast upon her. And yeah, she made choices, but she might have been affected by the evil inside of her. And the same with the fact that she basically manipulated Jacob and Men in Black to do this eternal struggle and take care of the island in Jacob's case, and Smoke Monster basically being stuck on the island. It makes it a little more tragic than it already is, because I never really thought Jacob was a tragic figure, but he kind of is in Lost City. Anyway, that's about it for this video. I think I'm probably going to make the next subject. I'm thinking of making about, I think I have two subjects. One's a little more silly, and one's a little more serious. Well, kind of silly. One would be answering the question that Miles could not answer to Hurley about why didn't Ben recognize Saeed as the guy that shot him whenever he tortured him. That might be my next one, more, because I've had that video in my head for a while, and I won't spoil it here, but it's pretty simple to figure out. It's like one of two options, and I really like the idea of talking about that. And the second one would be that I might do will be like why Charles Widmore, speaking of Jacob again, that's why I might do that one next, because it has to do with Jacob. Why Charles Widmore goes to work for Jacob, because he basically spent a lot of time in the show being a big heel, and he kind of goes, not necessarily fully face, but he goes at least tweener face. But that's about it for this video. I want to say though, I'm happy to talk about Lost, partially because I love it, but also because I don't see a lot of people really talk about it positively anymore. Like, the only thing they bring up is a finale, which I thought was a good finale. I didn't think it was bad at all. I liked it. The only problem I had was I missed the real Locke, but we got to see him in the Flash Sideways, which I like to call the Flashpoint, because, obviously, I think it sounds cooler anyway. But, I didn't like that, but I liked the last season. I thought was really good. I really don't get the hate it gets, because last season, in my opinion, had some fantastic episodes, like Across the Sea. I love Across the Sea. I thought it was great. I thought it was brilliant the way they told that story. Would have preferred maybe it being a 2-part episode to cover the very question I'm answering now, at least in some more depth. And I liked Ab Aeterno. That episode was fantastic. Dr. Linus, another great one. Amazing. The LAX 2-part thing, which just makes me think of Homicide Hernandez. But anyway, and later Santana Ortiz. But anyway, the thing is, I kind of like the idea, talking more positively about Lost, because in my opinion, it was a great show. It was fantastic. I thought it had a lot of good stories, a lot of good twists. And I thought, and unlike a lot of people think, it did answer basically every question. And the questions I'm going to answer, yeah, this is a pretty big one here, but I feel like they're ambiguous enough. Like, they answered maybe like a total of like 5 or 6 questions. And some of them are more like just ideas and general theories of what could have been, But anyway, like the Miles thing is mostly just a joke, but I do have an answer for that. 2 answers, actually. But anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a great day.